me to do a quick thing, so I shall explain as I move along because it's been put together quite hastily. So, this is me online. I have a mild or fairly severe social media addiction. Clout quite kindly collect all of that data and publish it to the internet, giving everyone else an idea of the type of guy I am and how influential I might be considered to be. And I'm not saying that as a brag, but more as an observation really, because I guess kind of what I'm going to do today is pose a lot more questions than give answers. I'm not really giving you any information as such, more than giving you a few thoughts that I've had and stuff that I've observed and the things that I've done over the last few years as I've got to know BIM. And as my maturity and understanding of the concept's grown. This is some research done by Cisco. Some of you may have seen it. 2003 we had 500 million connected devices to 6.3 billion people. That people thing's rising quite slowly, but by 2020 we're expecting that ratio to go up to about 6 connected devices per person. We passed through that last 2003. In 60 seconds on the internet last year, this is what happened in social media terms. You know, you're looking at Skype calls now owned by Microsoft, you're looking at LinkedIn accounts, we're looking at 70 new domains, 1,500 blog posts, God knows how many emails, let's not think about that. Music streaming, you know, all of this stuff is happening around us. And it's creating what a lot of people are calling big data. If you think about that as a social media picture of big data, the definition of big data when I looked it up is when data gets so big we can't handle it with traditional means. Relational databases. Now how do we do it? We need to start thinking differently about how to process that data, how to find trends, how to perform root cause analysis. I type Kobe into Google, great big data analysis, I get pictures of Kobe snorters. I can learn a little bit about Avengers. I can find out about a feat. And then Dave Philp will be really happy I get a data drops tab. I was dead chuffed with that last night. I was like, how am I going to bring Kobe into this? I didn't want to bring Kobe Carlin. So. But the way that we collect data is changing. You know, this product, Google Glass, is a two-directional thing. It collects data, but it also presents data to us. It's changing the way that we look at data. The whole way we're starting to wear data. You get what I mean? It's becoming part of our everyday life, something that we accept, something that we'll put on our wrist. And there's a lot of speculation about what the iWatch is going to look like, what it's going to do. But essentially, what we're starting to talk about is connecting our physical beings with the digital worlds we live in. So, inviting sensors into our personal space, into our social spaces, our business spaces, all that data that this stuff streams out. When Minority Report came out in the early 2000s, I remember this being a massive shock to people. Oh my God, what happened if you walked into a shop, it read your eyes and told you, "Hi James, do you want to buy some of your favourite aftershave?" This was a bad thing. This was corporate evil. You know, that's what you can tell by the colour scheme. The same Google Glass advert now advertises exactly that as a selling point. We want you to buy our nice new product. By the way, we're going to start shoving information at you. Okay, that's slightly different context. This is quite useful stuff. But who's to decide what's useful? You know, we had a bit of discussion about this earlier. And when does something become intrusive? You know, from reading my habits and stuff like that. This has caused a big stir. Really, this is the Nest Thermostat. It collects data about how you use your thermostat at home. It's got an iPad out. You can control it remotely, set things to happen. But it learns as well. It collects data. It uses that data to make your home more comfortable, as it thinks you might want it to be. It analyses trends and stuff. And when you start to look into things like big data, I found a company called Splunk that I'd never heard of. These guys compete with Google. They're huge. They collect data from a myriad of different places, and using fairly advanced big data analysis techniques, they can leverage that to give big businesses real business intelligence about how their brand is performing online. So what's it got to do with BIM? And I think, you know, this image, the easiest one I could get my hands on, funnily enough, is really complex. We're creating now, in the construction industry, the beginnings of big data from a construction industry point of view. We never had that before. We were dealing with drawings, we were dealing with paper. Now what we're suddenly starting to do is see an explosion of information coming out in a digital format, something that's indexable, archivable, and we can start to manipulate. You know, we can start to overlay information collected in the real world with the digital world. And that's an exciting opportunity. It's caused, you know, a lot of interest on the internet, a lot of discussion in forums and such. And I don't think anyone's really stopping to think. And someone pulled this up in our roundtable today, which made me laugh. But you know, back in when George Orwell wrote 1984, this was about Big Brother. This is about, you know, this is this isn't a good thing. You know, and what could happen if this happened in the real world? Well, it's starting to happen, guys. You know, we're talking about losing control of our information. And we're starting to talk now a lot about structure, and whenever I talk to people about BIM and COBE, it moves on to structure, and we need to structure our data, we've got to structure it. But if data gets so big that we lose the ability to structure it, what do? Are we wasting our time trying to structure data as we enter it now, rather than focusing on how do we look at that data? And I think from my point of view as well, what's really going to make it succeed is when we actually start to want to have our data out there. When we like our data being out there, and the benefits of us putting data out there come back to us. When buildings can socially respond to us and present us with offers based off us checking in virtually without even knowing about it. And when our buildings can start responding to us. There's a lot of work done in universities about this, about responsive facades, and looking at how human emotions and tactile responses can influence the environment around us. And I think as we plug that big data thing into there, we've got a really interesting space about what facilities management actually is. Are you controlling that environment, or are you analysing it, looking for trends, seeing root cause analysis, and starting to present that back to the people who are in the buildings and saying, here's some options for you based on that, you might want to think about doing this. Can we socially engineer people's behaviour to make wear and tear less? I think concepts like that, I think, could start to enter into the equation. And I think, you know, we may start to see disclaimers such as this instead of the corporate, my name's James Austin, I work for Autodesk, these are my own views and not Autodesk. Actually, we may not even be controlling what goes out there. Our views may just be placed out into the internet, and clout can tell everyone how employable I am, and I'll virtually get a job.